Yeah, you know what time it is when you hear my voice. You all know what time it is. Get that crack pipe out of your mouths. Bitcoin is currently at 61,000 US dollars and some change. But you didn't want to believe me, did you? You thought we were going far more lower. Everyone came out. I warned everyone time and time again, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to make durable lows. I made a public announcement and I said, keyword, new durable lows. Unfortunately, for winning and being right, I just get abuse after abuse after abuse. I don't get an apology from folks like this. I got countless of abuse, and it's like crabs in a bucket. Crypto has become so toxic that even if you win or you're right, they will hate you for it. They only listen to you when it's too late. I really had to double down on these haters. And this is a long. I should have done a 40x long so I can see these haters drown. And so far, we're looking into the abyss. And these doomers are promising you lower prices. They're telling you 50k, 30k, 20k. And it doesn't stop. And I told you, this is as low as it goes for now. For now. The fireworks begins in Q4. We've been speaking about the bear market for quite some time, for a very, very long time. And we've said that this is almost a carbon copy of what we had in the previous cycle. We had a trend line right over here, and we have a trend line right above here. We had an arch formation, and we had a final upthrust. Likewise, we have a trend line right over here, and a trend line right over here. An arch formation just over here, ladies and gentlemen, and we have our selling climax, our upthrust moment. Price hurdled down and we continue to go lower. Now the $1 million question is, where are we in this cycle? And we are exactly where we're meant to always be. We've completely steamrolled this entire consolidation period, and then we've steamrolled this entire consolidation period till we got to the very bottom of this channel right here. And that is why I kept on saying time and time again with confidence that we will not make durable lows. It's not rocket science. It's just called common sense. And so here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have slightly swept the lows just like we have right over here. Now count with me because some of you are very, very slow. How many times did we sweep the lows here? 1, 2, and 3. 3 times we swept the lows. So what do you think we're going to do over here? The first sweep of the lows has already been formed. I'm looking for a few more times where we kissed the lower area of this channel. As you can see right over here, the psychology was the exact same. Everyone thought, finally, this is a bottom. This is the bottom and we're not going to see lower prices, thank God. And the bears kept on desperately wanting lower prices and they never got it until patience prevailed and they finally got what they wanted. This only happened in Q4, and that is why I told you adamantly, vehemently, that we're going to see lower prices in Q4. The fireworks, the biggest fireworks of your life is going to happen in Q4. But be careful for what you wish for, because there's going to be a massive capitulation moment, the likes you've never seen before. And you're going to actually think that Bitcoin and crypto will never ever recover. It will never come back, and you're going to be so petrified and so scared that you're not even going to buy it. There's only going to be 10 people watching my videos, and 7 of them are going to be bots. Whoever's calling for lower prices should really reassess themselves, because the RSI is as low as the previous selling climax. If you don't believe me, then you can look at the charts. The RSI here is at a whopping 16.7. The last time we saw RSI readings was the previous selling climax. The last time we saw those kind of prices was all the way back in March. COVID, ladies and gentlemen. The COVID period was the last time we saw such massive oversold prices. And then after that, well, you know, 2018 was the last capitulation bottom. We're really at extremely oversold prices. It doesn't mean that we can't go any lower, but maximum the sellers are slightly exhausted for now. I don't really like RSIs too much, but we are showing on the higher time frames a bullish divergence. We're showing a divergence in the RSIs while the price is heading lower, as you can see right over here. In the previous cycle, we actually had a bullish divergence on the weekly where the price went down and the RSI actually bottomed back in June 2022, and then we formed a higher low, ladies and gentlemen, right over here, and this marked a bullish divergence. Likewise, Ethereum is actually forming its most oversold RSI in history. We haven't seen RSIs oversold ever at these levels. Never ever in the history of Ethereum have we seen RSIs at 14.7. We've never seen this. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget this. Ethereum is not an altcoin. Let's talk about your shit coins. Look at that, down massively across the board, double digits. I think we're going to see in Q4 the first ever record-breaking 3-digit close. I think is going to happen. I really think that's going to happen. And I warned you, I kept on warning all of you, but you didn't want to listen. You don't want to listen. You keep falling for the same tricks again and again. The same KOLs that come around and they promise you freedom. They promise you financial freedom. They promise you millions. They make you poorer by every minute of every day. They promise you paradise, but it's actually hell they're bringing. What happened to Zcash? What happened to your favorite coin in this cycle so far? There's always a cycle. There's always a bear market rally where everyone gravitates to a certain coin and they think it's paradise. They think that this will actually provide financial freedom. They think millions. They think they're going to become millionaires. And we went down a massive 64%. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not even trying to tote my own horn here. I'm not even trying to be big-headed, ladies and gentlemen, but I warned you so many times, and I actually warned you at the Pika top, the absolute top, the toppest topper of the top. I can even go down to the 4-hour level, and I was almost at the 4-hourly level at the top. Ladies and gentlemen, this went down 64% and some more. And you know what's going to happen after? It's going to go down another 64%. But you don't believe me. Now, I'm not going to give you a narrative and tell you what happened. I really don't care about the narrative and why it went down and what's the reason, because I'm a firm believer that it was going down anyway. The marketers and the shitcoiners and the influencers, they're all just going to try to rationalize price. Why did price go down? Why did that happen? What do you think? It was always destined to go down. It had a date with destiny. We have another contender. And these folks actually believe that they're holding AI stocks. They actually believe that they're better than AI stocks. The CEO, the members, the community has convinced them somehow, some way that they're much better than stocks. And I have to give it up to the CEO. I have to say kudos to the CEO to convince a whole group of adult men and women that they're actually holding AI stocks or the next Nvidia or the next Micron. I hold stocks, ladies and gentlemen. I hold it. It's the real deal. But these donuts actually believe that they're winning and they're going to watch every penny go straight down. These people are promising you heaven, but instead they're guaranteeing you hell. I called almost the peak top of Tau. Almost the peak top, but no one wanted to listen to me. It's down 38% since then, and it's going down another 60%. But you don't want to believe me. You're only going to believe me when it's too late, when you've lost all your money, and then you're going to call this place a scam. But you keep on falling for the same tricks time after time after time. Look at ADA. ADA is down a massive, from the peak to the trough, 32%. Matter of fact, it looks so horrendous that the founder of the project, Charles Hoskinson, has abandoned the project. He's abandoned the actual project. This is a tale as old as time. And look at these charts, ladies and gentlemen. Just look at some of these charts. They're down 99.99% and some more, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I cannot make this up. I really can't make this up. Some of you have chosen to get into the most volatile and extreme asset classes, and instead you were rewarded with all the risk and you got no reward. Zero, when instead you could have bought stocks just like me, ladies and gentlemen, and you would have seen way more reward for little risk. And then some of you have the audacity to look at Bitcoin dominance and say, you know what, Bitcoin dominance has gone down, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see altcoin season. It's the bottom, and you're calling the bottom for alts. Ladies and gentlemen, alts will continue to bleed. They're always going to bleed. There is no floor price with any of these alts. And Ethereum is not an alt, ladies and gentlemen. Mark my words. I swear to you, this is not financial advice. Ethereum will come back again. I bought Ethereum, ladies and gentlemen, and I actually bought at the peak of lows. I put it on my X. Follow me on X, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll update you. Get the most exclusive alpha content. I've done it for the culture, ladies and gentlemen. This is my first DCA, my first big bag, ladies and gentlemen. And Ethereum is going to come back. I'll do a big, long analysis on Ethereum another time. I just wanted to talk my talk today and laugh at you bulltards that were promising higher prices. It's gone down so hard, so vicious. It's just been massive red candles after red candles after red candles. And I'm waiting for the bulls to say something. All I hear is crickets. They run away when we see this downturn, and then they call for bottoms again. They run away again when we have this 2 weeks of downturn, and then they come back and claim that this is the bottom. They do this every single cycle, and everyone always believes their lies. Just like the previous cycle, they come back when we move sideways and call for the bottom. It falls down off a cliff, and then they say that this is the bottom. Falls down again, this is the bottom, and then again they give up. And by the time it gets to these prices, they all call for a bottom. And then when we actually head up higher, they're the ones that are actually calling for a bear market. By the time it drops, they're the one once again calling for a bear market. Drops again, and they're wrecked. And their community is wrecked. Please, if you need some help, join our private members. You will not regret it. This is our inner circle, and we're winning over here. We're actually winning. I'm not shilling you any dog shit coins, any vaporware, any shit coins. I'm helping you buy low and sell high.